Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm going to be bringing you my most anticipated releases for the second half of 2020. Now I did post a video back in January for my most anticipated releases of the first half of the year. Those are pretty much all released at this point, but if for some reason you do still want to go back and watch that, I will leave it in a card above. But here we are going to be talking about all of my most anticipated releases for the second half of the year, so July through December. I am going to try to go through these relatively quickly because I have about 30 books to talk about, and usually in the descriptions of my videos I will leave a list of every single book that I talked about with links to the Goodreads page, but since we have so many to talk about today, I am going to just leave you a link down below to my Goodreads shelf where I have listed all the books that I'm going to be talking about in today's video. This is going to be one that I kind of speed through a little bit quickly. We are going to be going through these books really fast, so if you do hear of a book that intrigues you and I don't give you a ton to go off of, go down to the description, check out that link, and you'll find more details. But before we get into the video, if you're new here and you're not already, please be sure to go down and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. And without further ado, let's get started. So I am going to do my best to list these in the order of publication, and then at the very end of the video I do have a few books that are still expected to be published in 2020, but they don't have an exact release date yet. So the first few books that I'm going to be talking about are set to release on July 7th, and the first one that I want to talk about in that category is Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power. Now Rory Power is the author of Wilder Girls, which was her debut last year, that I read and very much enjoyed. This book sounds kind of on the same darker thrillery side, but I don't think that there's any body horror or anything in this one, but the Goodreads description does classify it as horror, so who knows. But this book follows our main character Margot, and for her entire life it's just been her and her mother. Margot really doesn't know anything about her past, but she winds up coming upon this photograph that points her to this specific town, so she is on a mission to go there and find out more about where she came from and why her mother left. The next book, also releasing on July 7th, is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. This is the sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which was one of my favorite books of 2019. I can't say a ton about the plot of this considering it is a direct sequel, but if it's anything like the first book, it's going to be full of incredible representation, characters that you just relate to, and an awesome sci-fi element. And lastly, on July 7th, we have The Shadows by Alex North. Now in this book, there is a teenager named Charlie Crabtree, and he was kind of on the outside of everybody in high school. He winds up committing a murder that is so twisty and shocking that it has really kind of taken on infamy on the internet, and some people have copycatted it as well. But the story actually centers around our main character Paul, and we pick up 25 years after this murder has happened. Paul actually used to be friends with Charlie and the person that Charlie killed, and Paul has actually escaped the town, but his mother is starting to get really ill, so he comes back in. I assume chaos ensues. There are probably some old feelings that get brought about, maybe another new twisty mystery, I'm not really sure. This is also from the author of The Whisper Man that came out last year that I have not read, but really hope to, and this one sounds creepy and honestly kind of what I enjoy in my mysteries. Moving on to July 14th is What You Wish For by Catherine Center. This book follows our main character Samantha, who is an elementary school librarian in Texas, and at the beginning of the novel the school loses their principal, and the person that they bring in for a replacement is a guy that Samantha used to have a crush on, and it was unrequited love back then, and now this man is not the same person that he was all those years ago. The new principal, Duncan, comes in and tries to change everything that Samantha likes about her school, and so she is having to stand up for her school and what she believes in to try to hold on to some of that tradition. I've never read anything from Catherine Center before, but the premise of this just really intrigues me, and I'm also intrigued by several of her other books, so I'm hoping to pick this one up soon. Also on July 14th, we have Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This book follows our two main characters, Rowan and Neil, who have been bitter rivals for all of high school. They are about to graduate, and Rowan is really devastated when Neil is named valedictorian and she does not get that honor, but she has one more chance to get victory out from under him. The seniors every year hold this game called Howl, where essentially they run all over Seattle doing a crazy scavenger hunt or something like that, and she is determined to win over him. I believe that this novel all takes place just in the one night, which is a format that I'm really a fan of, and I also really loved You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone, which was Rachel Lynn Solomon's debut, so I'm very excited to get into this one as well. Then on July 21st, we have The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. This book is set in Dublin, Ireland in 1918, and we follow our main character Julia, who is a nurse, and she's working with expectant mothers. Well, Julia winds up meeting two women that come in and change her life, So there is Kathleen, who is a doctor that is on the run from the police, and Brittany, who is a young volunteer. So I don't know a ton about this one. I have previously enjoyed Room from this author, and I have never read anything set during the Great Flu, which this is set in that time period. And I don't think I've read that much set in Ireland either. So all around, this is a little bit out of my comfort zone in those regards, but I'm excited to dive in. And lastly for July, on July 28th, we have He Started It by Samantha Downing. So this book follows a group of 3 siblings, and at the beginning of the novel, their grandfather passes away, and in order for the siblings to get their inheritance, they have to fulfill his final wish and go on this cross-country road trip. There's a lot of drama and backstory in their family that I assume we're going to get to find out about in the novel. Samantha Downing is a mystery thriller author. She is the author of My Lovely Wife, which I read earlier this year and enjoyed. This one sounds really intriguing as well. I've heard several people already review this, and so far I think it's been positive, so fingers crossed. Next, moving on to August. On August 4th, we have Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. What kind of a list would this be if this weren't on here? I was a huge Twilight fan, as I think a lot of us were. I would go back and reread them now, honestly, and Midnight Sun, I think everybody knows, is the first book, Twilight, from Edward's perspective. I don't know exactly how I'm going to feel about this one. It might be trash, I don't know, but I'm definitely going to be picking it up anyway. Next on August 11th is Little Scratch by Rebecca Watson. Now, I don't know a ton about this book. The synopsis is a little bit confusing, to be honest, but from what I can gather, it follows this young woman who has gone through a sexual assault, and the story is told over the course of 24 hours. I believe that it is told in a non-traditional format. I don't know what exactly that's going to entail, but I do have an arc of this one through NetGalley, so I plan to get to it soon. Regardless, it sounds like it's going to be dark and intriguing, so we'll see how it goes. And lastly for August, I have one coming out on August 18th. And that is Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crowe by Jessica Townsend. This is the 3rd novel in the Nevermore series. I don't know if this is going to be a trilogy, if this is the last one, or if it's going to continue. Again, I can't say a ton about the plot of this, but it is a middle grade story that follows our main character, Morgan Crowe. She has always been told that she is the one bringing all the bad luck to her town and that she is going to die on her 11th birthday. But on the eve of her 11th birthday, this man called Jupiter North comes and swoops her away to Nevermore, where chaos ensues. I have really enjoyed this middle grade series over the last couple of years, and I'm dying to get to this 3rd one. Next, moving into September, on September 1st, I have Sing Like No One's Listening by Vanessa Jones. This book follows our main character, Nettie, who is very talented musically. She's really into musical theater, and she has been accepted into this very prestigious musical arts school. It's the same one that her mother attended, but Nettie has not been able to sing a single note since her mother passed away. But Nettie happens to stumble upon this mysterious piano player one day. I assume that there's going to be some heart-to-heart, maybe a little bit of romance, a lot of struggle with grief. This sounds something that's right up my alley. I am so into musical theater, so I think that I'm really going to enjoy this. Also on September 1st, we have Recommended for You by Laura Silverman. This book follows our main character, Shoshana, who works at this bookstore in her town. She's been there a lot more recently because her moms have been fighting more and more, so the bookstore kind of serves as an escape. And her boss tells her and the rest of the staff that there's going to be a special holiday bonus for the employee that sells the most books. But the bookstore recently hired this new guy named Jake who looks like he's gonna take the top prize. So I assume that Shoshana and Jake kind of have a hate to love romance is really what I hope what happens. This sounds like it's going to be just a love letter to book lovers. Everything that I could possibly want. This cover is adorable. Really looking forward to this one. Then on September 8th, we have One by One by Ruth Ware. Now this book is a thriller that takes place in this company retreat. Basically, they all go up to the mountains, and I think that an avalanche comes or something happens and they all get snowed in and mystery happens. The last line of the synopsis I think kind of summarizes where the story is going to go. It says, come Monday morning, how many members short will the team be? So there's going to be some cutthroat action, some mystery, fighting for resources. I very much enjoyed The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and I've heard from so many people that that one is her best one to date, so I hope that this one even just takes the levels even higher. Also coming out on September 8th, we have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. Now, this book follows a bank robbery, and the bank robber comes in to rob this bank and winds up locking himself in with this crazy cast of characters, and then at the end of the robbery, he winds up just giving up, and they open up the bank and it's empty. There's nobody there. And the story is told through testimonies that come up after the event, and we are just kind of seeing what happened, why the robber let all these people go, and just I assume that there's going to be a lot of chaos. This sounds like something that's going to be a little bit more lighthearted than a lot of what Frederick Bachman has written. Most of his books tend to be a little bit more on the serious side, or at least have darker undertones, but this one, just from the synopsis, sounds a little bit lighter. You guys know I absolutely adore Frederick Bachman. I've read everything of his to date. Very, very excited for this one. Next, on September 15th, we have When Life Gives You Mangoes by Corrine Gettin. Now, this is a middle grade novel that follows our main character, 12-year-old Clara, and she lives on this island that a lot of people come to vacation. It's a really popular tourist destination, but she just sees it as home. But something has happened to Clara's memory that has made her forget everything before a hurricane that hit the previous summer, and she's relying on her mother to kind of help fill in the blanks, so she's struggling with that. And then a new girl comes to the island, and kind of what I'm getting from the synopsis is that there might be a hint of a crush or a little bit of a female-female romance. Regardless, this sounds like the perfect middle grade. I'm always looking for more middle grade to get into, and I'm really intrigued by this one. Also on September 15th, we have Even If We Break by Marika Nijkamp. Now, the synopsis on Goodreads for this one is really short, so I'm just going to read it to you. It says, 5 friends go to a cabin. 4 of them are hiding secrets. 3 years of history bind them. 2 are doomed from the start. 1 person wants to end this. No one is safe. Are you ready to play? So this definitely sounds like it is going to be really dark and mysterious. Marika Nijkamp's books are dark in general. The 2 from her that I have read are darker, but they're not exactly mystery-ish, and this one sounds like it's more down that lane. Intrigued for sure. And finally, on September 15th, we have Horita by Katrina Leno. So this book follows our main character, Jane, and at the beginning of the novel, Jane's father has passed away, and the family is moving from California back to Maine to the manor where Jane's mother grew up. And as Jane starts to try to fit in and kind of figure out her place in New England, she starts unraveling what happened in the past, and it's probably really mysterious and creepy, and who knows what else is going to happen. The cover of this definitely gives me some dark vibes, but I've never read from Katrina Leno before, but I am interested in this one. I've heard really good things about this author, so I'm just going to go in open-minded. Then on September 29th, we have Dear Justice by Nick Stone. This is the sequel to Dear Martin, which I read earlier this year and really enjoyed. Now, in Dear Martin, our main character, Justice, was writing letters to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But in Dear Justice, we follow our main character, Quan, who enters into a not guilty plea in the shooting death of a police officer, and he is put into a holding cell to await trial, and while he is in the cell, he starts writing letters to Justice, who is our main character in the first novel. So this sounds like it's going to be really relevant to some of the things we've been talking about in society lately. Definitely something that I'm wanting to keep at the forefront of my mind. Like I said, I very, very much enjoyed Dear Martin, so I'm just ready for more from this author. Next, moving into October, we have on October 13th, This Is All Your Fault by Amina May Safi. Now, this is one that I have received as an ARC through NetGalley and have already read. I'll go ahead and tell you I rated it 4 stars. This book follows a group of teenagers who work at this indie bookstore. At the beginning of the novel, they discover that their bookstore is about to go under, and they come up with this plan to try to save it. I don't want to give too much of a review because that's not what this video is about, but I did enjoy it overall. It is set in one day, so if you like that kind of format, you might be interested in it, but if you are a fan of indie bookstores, one-day format, interesting characters, this might be one to pick up in October. Also on October 13th, we have Everything I Thought I Knew by Shannon Takoa. This book follows our main character, Chloe, who is 17 years old, and she feels like she has her life figured out. She knows exactly what she's going to do after high school, but one day in the middle of cross-country practice, she collapses and she winds up being told that she needs a new heart, and she gets a heart transplant. But 6 months after her transplant, she is a totally different person. She's taking these risks and doing things that the old Chloe never would have done. She ends up thinking of memories that she doesn't actually remember. She feels like these memories aren't her own. And she has picked up surfing, and it's the only thing that makes her feel normal again, and she starts to fall for her surf instructor, Kai. I feel like this is going to be a really powerful contemporary, kind of darker, that has a little bit of a romance behind it. This sounds exactly the kind of vibe that I really enjoy in my contemporaries, so I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but I'm definitely interested in it. I actually have 2 anthologies coming out both on October 13th that I am anticipating, and the first one is called Rural America. So in this anthology, I have never actually heard of any of the authors that are contributing, which is really exciting to me, but all of the stories center around rural America, really small towns. I believe they classify it of less than 10,000 people. So I am from a small town. I wouldn't exactly consider it rural. I believe we had a few more than 10,000 people, but regardless, I'm interested and hoping that I'll see a little bit of my past and my childhood in some of these stories. and that one is edited by Nora Shalway Carpenter. The other anthology that I have is called Come On In, and this one is edited by Adi Al-Said. Now again, I'm just going to read you the little blurb of this on Goodreads because I think it summarizes it really well. It says, this exceptional and powerful anthology explores the joys, heartbreaks, and triumphs of immigration with stories by best-selling and beloved YA authors who are themselves immigrants and the children of immigrants. So we're getting a lot of own voices representation in this anthology. It sounds like some of the contributors include Zoraida Cordova, Maureen Gu, Sonia Cherapotra, Justine Larbalestier, and a few others. I believe that the only author in this that I have actually read from is Adi Al-Said, who is also the editor. So I'm definitely excited to open up my taste to a few new authors and hear these really important stories. Moving on to October 20th, we have In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This book is set around the holidays and it follows our main character Malin, who is not having a great time. She really doesn't like her job and she just kind of feels like she's going nowhere. And to make matters worse, this is going to be the last year that they spend Christmas at this Utah cabin where they've gone to for the holidays every year since she was born. After they leave that cabin for the final time, May sends out a plea into the universe that says, like, please show me what'll make me happy. And the next thing she knows, she wakes up and she is back in the cabin reliving the holiday in kind of a Groundhog Day situation. I believe there is a little bit of romance in here as well as there usually is with Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren's books have honestly been pretty hit or miss for me. I very much enjoyed The Unhoneymooners and the rest of their books have been kind of middle of the road, but I'm really intrigued by this one, and especially that kind of Groundhog Day time travel element I think is new to them. So hopefully this will be a really fun holiday read. Next on October 27th, we have Krazy, Stoopid, Bromance by Lisa K. Adams. This is the third book in the Bromance Book Club companion series. The Bromance Book Club is essentially this group of men who get together and read romance novels in order to win their women back or to get a new girl or whatever the case might be. And in each book we followed a different couple and they're all kind of intertwined. They all know each other. So this book follows Alexis, who is the owner of a cat cafe, and her best friend Noah, who we met in the last novel. And I'm really just excited and intrigued by this one, just like I am for all of these, but I absolutely fly through Lisa K. Adams novels. This sounds like it's going to be an adorable friends to lovers romance that I'm just really looking forward to. Then moving into November, on November 3rd, we have Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. This book follows our main character Prudence, who has always kind of been quick to judge the people around her, and she wakes up one day to find out that she actually has the ability to put instant karma onto people. But we also have a character named Quint, who is Prudence's lab partner, and every time that she tries to use her power on Quint, everything kind of backfires. So she starts to learn more about Quint, uncover his past. I think that this is going to be an enemies to lovers kind of book. I'm particularly interested in this because it's going to be Marissa Meyer's first kind of foray into contemporary. She's done fairy tale retellings and sci-fi and alternate reality kind of stuff before. This one even still does have a little bit of that with the superpowers, but it's more in a contemporary setting, which I'm really looking forward to. Next on November 10th, we have Love and Olives by Jenna Evans Welch. Jenna Evans Welch has written 2 other books before. She wrote Love and Gelato, which was set in Italy. Love and Luck is set in Ireland, and this one, Love and Olives, is set in Greece. So this week follows our main character, Evie, and she is not very fond of her father. He left their family when she was very young, but she has always had an interest in Greek mythology because of him, and that's kind of the bond that they share. Well, one day she winds up getting a postcard from him saying that National Geographic is going to come and he is working on a documentary with them. Will she come to Greece and help him out? And she jumps on the chance. But obviously when she gets there, there's a little bit of a rift between her and her father. So I believe that this book is going to be centered around her and her father trying to kind of patch up their relationship. There's going to be a ton of amazing Greek scenery. I believe there's probably going to be a romance in here as well. I have really enjoyed it. Love and Gelato by this author. Have not yet read Love and Luck, but it sounds like it's right up my alley, and this one sounds exactly like something I would like as well. So maybe in November I'll just wind up binging all 3. And finally moving into December. On December 1st, we have The Nobleman's Guide to Scandal and Shipwrecks by Mackenzie Lee. This is the 3rd book in the Gentleman's Guide series, and I'm not sure if these books are companion novels or direct sequels. I believe that the books in this series are companion novels. The first novel I read earlier this year and really enjoyed, and it follows our main character Monty. The second novel follows Felicity, who is Monty's younger sister, and this 3rd novel follows Adrian, who is their sibling that they never knew about each other. They never knew that they had extra siblings, and Monty and Felicity are now adults by the time that this novel takes place. Adrian is a teenager. I don't want to read a ton into the synopsis of this just in case it is spoilery since I have not read the second novel yet, but I really did enjoy the first one. I love Mackenzie Lee's writing style, and if this is anything like the first novel, well. It's going to be really funny, interesting characters, and just really transportative in that historical fiction European setting. This is something that I need in my life. Also on December 1st is The Cousins by Karen McManus. So this book follows our three main characters, Millie, Aubrey, and Jonah, and they are cousins, but they're not very close, and they don't know their grandmother because their grandmother kind of denounced the whole family, denounced their parents long ago. But then each of the cousins gets a letter offering to come and work at their grandmother's island resort for this summer, and they're really confused but intrigued, so they decide to go ahead with it. All of their parents really want them to go. They say not going is not an option because this is their chance to get back into their grandmother's good graces. But when they get onto the island, it's immediately clear that the grandmother has something different that she wants for them. I'm sure that they wind up uncovering some things about the past of their family. The cover of this makes me think that it's going to be really creepy and mysterious, which I think is what Karen McManus is pretty much known for. I've not read from her yet, but this one, that dysfunctional family mystery where there's secrets that are being unraveled, that's exactly what I want. Also on December 1st, we have A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the fourth and final book in the Ember and the Ashes series. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything about the plot of this considering it is the fourth and final book in the series, but this is a fantasy series that I think a lot of YA fans have really enjoyed over the years. I am included in that group, but I really honestly don't remember a ton about it, so I'm probably going to wind up binge reading this series up to the release of the fourth novel. Excited to finish this one up. And the last book that I have that has a release date is on December 8th, and that is Layla by Colleen Hoover. Now, this book is Colleen Hoover's first foray into paranormal romance. We follow our two main characters, Leeds and Layla, and Leeds thinks that he's going to spend the rest of his life with Layla. She winds up getting into this accident and she's fighting for her life, and I assume she's not the same person that she was when they first met. She kind of takes a turn for the worse. And soon Leeds finds a connection with this girl named Willow, who is a guest at the B&B that I think he owns, and Leeds and Willow really start to get to know each other and start to connect, and Leeds is really torn between his growing interest in Willow and trying to care for Layla, the girl that he fell in love with. Leeds is stuck in the middle, having to make a choice, and he doesn't know what to do. I don't really know where the paranormal aspect comes in this. I assume that it's with Layla after the accident, but regardless, I would read Colleen Hoover's grocery list. I don't care what it's about, I'm going to be picking this one up. I said that I was going to talk about some at the end of the video that didn't have a release date, but I actually don't have any, so there we go. But that is it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know what your most anticipated release for the rest of the year. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to go down and give it a big thumbs up, as well as hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. So until next time, bye!